Hello, welcome or welcome back. Thank you again for being here. For those who continue to follow my story, I do appreciate you guys. When we left off in the last one, I had given my letter of resignation. So I want to give you a little bit more background on that because I think I gave you a lot, but make sure you guys kind of know the whole story. Um, so as of Memorial Day, the day before Memorial Day, which was a Sunday, um, was the last time that I had seen Walter. And he said he was going to do something with a family member that Monday, Memorial Day. So I said, fine. I figured, we had spent a lot of time together, give him his time with family. It was nice for me to also, having had a 4-day weekend from work, to have a day to myself, to catch up on laundry and everything like that before I went back to work on Tuesday. Um, on Tuesday, I had texted him and said, "How did it go?" And he said, "Yeah, I had a good time," and so forth. And I wanted to let him know how much I appreciate everything that he had done for me as far as moving, helping me to move. The good times we had gone out to dinner, a lot. He always paid. And I hadn't had that in someone in so very long. And I was thinking about, then he drove me all the way out to, if anyone knows, New Hampshire, North Conway has outlets. So on that Saturday, we had drove out to the outlets and walked around there for a while. And he was very giving to me. He always made me breakfast in the morning. Um, and even though I felt like there could have been more as far as like communication during the week and stuff like that, I wasn't, hold on one second. I'm sorry about that. Um, I wanted to really let him know that, he had taken me to the movies, got the tickets and everything. I wanted to let him know how much I really did appreciate him. So when I had texted him to say, how did everything go with your family member? And I said to him, I really do enjoy our time. I do really like you a lot. And, I hope we can continue to move forward with this. He didn't respond. So I'm saying, okay, like, here we go again. For weeks, I had been getting little hints from spirit, from the universe to kind of say, it's time to leave your job. It's time to leave your job. And as you go on your ascension journey, you're going to probably come to a point where if you are working a 9 to 5 job, there's more for you to do in this world, okay, whatever that may be. And if you, again, many of us will awaken, but not all of us will ascend, if that makes sense to you, in this lifetime. So just because someone has awakened, they may not choose to go through their ascension journey. Um, if they don't do it in this lifetime, they're going to need to do it probably in the next lifetime. Okay. Um, so just know that there's very few people that go through this entire journey and get through it. There's other people that say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this and get halfway through. And because it is so trying, so tiresome, so mind bending, that we give up. And believe me, there was many times that I said, Spirit, I can't continue on this. Like, it just let me, like, seriously. Um, anyway, I had started to really start thinking about Spirit saying to me that, you're going to leave your job. And things had started boiling over with Patty. In the last episode, I think I told you about, I'm sorry, I keep hearing people walking. Sorry. Um, because nobody really walks like the hallways here much during the day. So I'm like, who's all these people walking by? Um, anyway, in the last episode, I had told you that things with Patty had started to escalate. And it's so weird that while I was dealing with the things with Kate at the house, things with Patty at the job were kind of calm, you know what I'm saying? And then as soon as I moved out of the house with Kate, things with Patty started to escalate. I gotten to the point of just closing my office door because it's like this. I'm sure you've been in a situation where someone just tries to instigate, tries to play mind games and stuff. And I didn't want to want to deal with her. Um, I had saw the HR person one day, and something had held me back from approaching her because to say like Patty had gone around and went to each of my coworkers that I worked with and said, oh, somebody had gone to HR and like kind of complained that I did something wrong or said something wrong or whatever. And you're not supposed to do that. When you're in a large company and someone has a complaint against you, HR is going to pull that person into the office and say, this is what we're hearing, this is what's been said. We don't know if there's any truth of it or not, but if there is, you really need to be careful of this, that, and whatever. At this point, because I've had HR background too, at this point, we're not going to do anything or say anything, but this stays in this office and it's not to be put out there. Because if you do go out there, put it out there, that's called retaliation. Okay. Um, and she went to each of my coworkers and then also came into my office and said, I'm not sure if it was you, but someone said that I was saying something or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I was really upset about that. I had gone to my manager and I said to her, I said, why was she allowed to go around and ask everyone that? And she goes, and my manager's like, oh, I didn't know. Now this was last year. And she says, oh, like I'll check on that. So supposedly my manager had gone to HR and said that Patty had gone around to each of the coworkers and said something. And I figured, okay, they're taking care of it. So that's why I let it go. So now I see the HR person. Now we're coming back to the end of May of this year, 2025. I saw the HR person and I went into her office, closed the door, and I kind of laid it out. And I said, why was she allowed to go around to everyone's um, office and kind of approach each one of us and say, was it you that kind of complained against me? And the HR person, like her face just dropped, like, oh my goodness, like, really? I didn't know that. So I did. I thought my manager came and spoke to you. And she said there was some kind of miscommunication. She goes, no, I did not hear anything about that whatsoever. And so I'm saying to myself, like, is the manager covering up for Patty? Which there was another instance where Patty had said, oh, she had something wrong with her hand, so she really couldn't type that well. Had been going to physical therapy, and HR had said, it was someone else in HR had said to her, well, this could be an issue for you performing your job. And the managers came to her defense and said, oh, no, she'll be all right. She'll be all right. So I said, there's too many things going on here, that there seemed like the manager is protecting Patty. And is it really about Patty helping her feeling like she owed her something because she called her to get this job? It's a long story. Anyway, hopefully I'm not complicating this too much. Um, so once I heard that from the HR person, I'm like I don't even know whether to trust my manager at this point, because is she covering up for Patty? So the next week, I started preparing, taking things home one by one. And then the next one-on-one session I was supposed to have with her just before I went into her office, I sent my an email of my letter of resignation and gave my 2 weeks notice. I went into her office and she says, oh, if she started to say, oh, is there anything, we can do to keep you here? And I'm like, no, I think it's time for me to go. So um, I had written, on my job, um, everything that I did on my job. And so that she would have an easier time kind of sorting through that of who to give what to work. Um, so the next 2 weeks were really, really difficult, very hard. Um, wasn't sure how I was going to get through those 2 weeks, but um, I did. um, it was weird because my resignation date was going to end up being on June 19th. And as many of you know, that it's now a national holiday, which is Juneteenth, which is the day of freedom for um, American slaves back in the 1800s. So it was kind of like my day of freedom. But I'll get to more of that later on in the next one. Okay. Thank you for again for following, and I'll see you next time.